with November being 100% rate of return on the $100 account, and with 1700 pips in the bank from last month. With dollar weakness, we are going to continue looking for dollar weakness and yen weakness, because the fundamentals and the drivers that drove the market in that direction still hasn't changed. With Powell on Friday still committing to not increasing any interest rate anytime soon, and market pricing in 3 or 4 rate cuts going in next year, and also Fed seeing that possibility, we're going to see dollar continue lower. The only problem with dollar continuing lower is that the market is putting themselves into a corner of disappointment if CPI comes out higher in December. So just be aware of the market is really pushing its out to the downside. But as we continue this lowerness, that is great. I just want to mention that I bought a euro dollar at 108.40 on Friday, and going into the euro dollar analysis, we did come up to 110, which by ING was unsustainable, which I can see we went down to 108.50, which is kind of great. I like this level. And what has to happen going forward is that we still hold 108.26, and that would still support the price going higher, maybe up to 110, up to 110.50, or even all the way up to 111. And next week we have RBA meeting, which should have bought Australian dollar on Friday, but this are pricing in going higher, and what we have to be aware of, that target this week is 160.6732, and just because that's a target doesn't mean that we're going to go higher, because we have the interest rate meeting on Tuesday. That can send Australian dollar down, but it's one of those currencies that has the demand, because when dollar becomes weak, where does the strength go to? It goes to Australian dollar, it goes to pound, and it goes to New Zealand. And as you can see, in comparison to euro, these ones are the ones that is really benefiting from this from this weakness. Now, going forward, you can see here I'm to big 66.20, which is a very deep level, which is level we probably have bought on Friday. The only thing that I expect market to do is going a bit higher and then fall down, and then that being used as a price going higher. So as you can see here, market is beautifully going more bullish, going back up to 4 hour. The market is doing beautifully higher, and this one is going to continue as higher as long as dollar continues to be weak. So if we use this as our level, or if we use this as our level, 65.50 is kind of the same thing. And going over to Aussie yen is also in the same group. It had a very beautiful pullback here. I hope that we're going to get another pullback, and I see this one going to make new higher highs, and this week's target on Aussie yen is around 98.87. Both looking bullish, both being bullish, and both continue to be favored to the upside. And as you can see here, with the support and resistance, lovely. What I have published previously is if price comes down to 97.36, coming down to 96.76, I would like to look for buys around those levels, but those prices hasn't been hit yet. Going back to euro dollar, as I said, going higher. This is the last resort, just to make sure that you see the difference in setups, and because euro is down here in comparison. And when you see that difference, you start categorizing different setups, which you definitely have to do. So pound dollar is just having a shallow pullback. This one is a bit of a volatile one, but going forward anyways, the market or the pivot points are indicating we should use 126.46 or 127.75 as our pullback levels. Now that is all glancy and dancy until we get a lot of dollar strength. So once you start buying high here, you definitely need to be aware that it carries a lot of risk, but this is definitely a level 126.70 that I would say is a local support, and then a more deeper pullback back down to 126. No matter where price goes, you still need to be able to have nice, good price action. no, sorry, risk management. And if price does whatever it does, it shouldn't really matter because you should be protected anyway. So, and yet again, we have higher highs and higher lows. I'm not going to sell anything here. And for New Zealand dollar, American dollar, again, we have higher highs. We almost have a new high going higher. The same thing with New Zealand yen coming back down to support. Great place after the new higher high. The question is, are we going to use 91 as a level? Are we going to be 90, or are we going to use 89.50 as our level? And the tricky part is, and what I believe going forward is that we're going to be aggressively going higher. We are not necessarily going to be we're not necessarily going to be going very deep in our pullbacks. And as you have seen in Discord, I am aiming for 93 on New Zealand yen. Going over to pound yen, bit of a mixed one here. Pound yen is a volatile one, so either you try to catch this pullbacks down into this level, and what I mean this level here. This is to be seen as a higher high and higher low, and it is quite easy to be like, okay, that is quite a nice level. Either that, or you see that price do go higher and it will continue. Now, what is the reason for this? This is always going to be the reason for until they do change their monetary policy in Bank of Japan is ultra loose. So, I think it's going to go higher, and it does go higher. And even though we published or hit the monthly target on pound yen, the only question is how deep is our pullback going to be on these pairs before we do tend to go higher. CAD yen is another one that had a bit of a deep pullback on Friday. Great, I love it. Just for us to get our entries in, I think this is a great opportunity going up into the open market, and when the market opens on tonight, this looks like a great place to be looking for a buy, depending on how your entry is looking like. Gold, I said I wanted a bit of a pullback, didn't get it. Well, it has now made an all-time high, or in that direction. I think this is going to continue. This is not a move that is done today or done tomorrow. I think this is going to continue going forward. So even though the short term might make a new lower low, I think with bullish December, with lower dollar, this has legs at least until the end of December. So right now, the ECP's lemon squeezy level is to come back down to 2055. Is it going to? That is totally up to the market. A bit of a weirder ones. Aussie New Zealand has bearish outlook. It has a bearish seasonality. Sorry. So 107.67 first price to look for a sell off, going down to 60.40. This is going to continue all the way until, give or take, 12th to 15th of December. That is also New Zealand. That is also, what's the other one that was in New Zealand? CAD, Euro New Zealand. One other New Zealand pair, can't remember right now. Probably was Euro New Zealand actually. Going into 15th now, this one has fallen off the tracks. So a bit of a deeper pullback back up to 177. Just be aware of those. Have trigger, have alerts. Don't necessarily sell them, but be aware of them. You can see a 10-year T-note. You can see 2-year T-note. You can falling, which makes the market pricing in these lower expectations to inflation. And you can see Japan still falls, but has a bit of a pullback. Once this one now starts to rise again, you are going to see Japanese yen, the pound yen pairs going to fall. Now the question here is, and the funny question is that when dollar falls, you can check this out, by the way. When dollar falls, most other pairs rise. So who's going to be the strongest? Who's going to be the weakest? Well, that's kind of the thing is it depends on interest rates. Go to interest rates. Go and check who has the highest, who has the lowest. which direction does those pairs goes into, follow the carriage rate, follow the overall monetary fundamental bias, which is strong, well, at least falling dollar, strong strong pound, strong New Zealand, because they are still have interest rates and are going to keep their interest rates at around 5 to 5.5. Anyways, going forward into next week, as I said, RBA is going to have a meeting on Tuesday. Where is it? Is it Tuesday? Yeah, Tuesday. RBA is there, and then we have Bank of Canada, and then we have NFP on this Bank of Canada is a Wednesday, and then we have NFP on Friday. For some reason, I can't make this one scroll, but NFP. So that is going to be dollar strength if that one misses to the upside. And we have non-farm productivity on Wednesday. Not really important, but it's there. It's okay. And then we have PPI on Europe, and we have the CPI out of Tokyo, out of Japan. It might make this one make yen go higher or lower depending if it comes in higher or lower, but it's not really a direct important driver of yen because market is waiting until February until the wage negotiations are ending, and then we have a really clear direction. But of course, if this one surprises to the upside, it's definitely going to be a thing on the town going forward next week. So be aware of that, be aware of those, but don't let it move you, don't let it chase you, don't make decision upon it. Just know that they are there. Take into consideration the information. And currently we have gold higher, we have dollar weaker. I think it's a pretty good place to be, and I will not be trading dollar yen because those should be weak.